Don't you just want to go swimming in that sea of blue?
Hey guys, Sean here, and today, exactly 4 years ago, we built a bookcase for our DVDs. Hey guys, Sean here, and today, I built a bookcase. And just to think, in 4 short years, the Blu-rays went from here to right here. I've gotten a lot more since last year, so let's show you all the Blu-rays that we got since this date last year.
Hi, Goalie. Meow.
Meow. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, Oli. So let's get started. First up, Akira. This is one of the greatest sci-fi animes just ever made. The Aristocats, the Disney Movie Club exclusive version. I mean, I don't really need this. The only reason I bought this is because it's still sealed and it has a slipcover. I mean, I could just watch it on Disney Plus whenever I want. The Avengers. I mean, I like Infinity War and Endgame more than this, but this one is still pretty fun. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Yeah, Aaron is on a mission to watch every movie that Ray Harryhausen did the effects for, and this is one of them. It's pretty good. Beowulf. Yeah, I haven't watched this on Blu-ray yet, so I don't know how well the CGI holds up, but I can't wait to. And here's something cool, the Best of Cinerama. If you haven't seen our top 5 overlooked and underrated movies shot in Cinerama, then it's basically 3 different cameras pointed at different angles to get a super wide frame, and it's just mind-blowing to look at. I can only imagine what it would be like if it was in an actual Cinerama theater. Blazing Saddles. There's just so much I could say about this. This is just one of the funniest movies ever made. The Broadway Melody of 1940, one of my favorite Fred Astaire movies that wasn't with Ginger Rogers, and I haven't watched this Blu-ray yet, but I can't wait to. Brooklyn, starring Saoirse Ronan as Billie Eilish. No, just kidding, her character's name is Eilish. And yeah, I got this because it was $3 and it had a slipcover, and it was nominated for Best Picture, and Saoirse Ronan's a good actress. Cars 2. Yeah, I've been putting off buying this for a long time because I was like, do I really need this? But I was like, I need this to complete my Pixar Blu-ray collection. So now I have every Pixar movie on Blu-ray with a slipcover. I mean, I'm never gonna watch it, but I just like to have it. A Cat in Paris. This movie was nominated for an Oscar in 2011, and yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty cute. Chicken Run on Blu-ray. We finally have this. Citizen Kane on Blu-ray. I mean, it was just released on 4K, like, it's a little bit after I bought this, but, you know, I don't really need this on 4K, but it's still a pretty good movie. Death Proof. I also haven't watched this yet, but now I have every Tarantino movie on Blu-ray. Die Hard 2. I mean, it's not as good as 1 and 3, but it's still a pretty fun action movie. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with John Barrymore from 1920, and, like, it's not really one of the best silent movies that Aaron has, or even one of the best transfers, but Aaron just had to get it. Easter Parade. I finally have this on Blu-ray, so now I have all 50 of my favorite films on Blu-ray that are available on Blu-ray. Ernest Goes to Jail. This is just one of the funniest movies just ever made, one of the most underrated comedies, in my opinion. E.T. the Extraterrestrial, the Steelbook. F9 The Fast Saga. This is just $10 for Black Friday, and, you know, I have all the other ones, so I just had to get it. The Father. This is just one of the best movies of 2020, and just Anthony Hopkins is just such a good actor. Buster Keaton's The General and 3 Ages. Yeah, we have this movie on 8mm, and now we have it on Blu-ray. Halloween 2. I mean, we finally watched this for the first time last year, and it's not as good as the first one, but it's still an okay horror movie. The Hunchback of Notre Dame from 1923 with Lon Chaney. I mean, this Blu-ray, it's not really one of the best transfers. It's definitely not as good as, like, Nosferatu and Metropolis, but it's still an okay silent movie. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Yeah, I watched this. It was just all the stuff that wasn't the gargoyles was just so good. It Came from Outer Space. Yeah, this wasn't by Ray Harryhausen, but Aaron just needed to watch it for some reason. Iron Man. Yeah, we finally watched this for the first time this year, and yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good setup for the MCU. It Happened on Fifth Avenue. This is one of my favorite movies, one of the most overlooked movies just of this time period. The Last Laugh, more Kino silent movies that Aaron had to get. The Little Drummer Boy. I mean, it's not the best Blu-ray transfer, or not even one of the best, like, Rankin Bass specials, but we still had to get it. The Lost World, the first movie with stop-motion dinosaurs. And technically, the first feature-length movie to contain a stop-motion sequence is Hexen, which we'll talk about later, but this was the first American one with, like, giant creature effects. Love Me Tonight. This is just a really classic early 30s musical. Maurice Chevalier and Jeanette MacDonald are just great in it, and it also has great songs. The Castle of Cagliostro. Now we have every single one of Miyazaki's movies on Blu-ray. The Man with the Movie Camera. Yeah, this movie is just really good, really experimental, and like an underrated part of it is the music, and the opening music is just like one of the best silent movie scores that I've ever heard. Mighty Joe Young. This is the first movie that Ray Harryhausen did effects for, and it's just really good. Hey, Warner Brothers, get your crap together and re-release King Kong on Blu-ray because it's out of print and like nobody can get it for less than like $70. Monsters vs. Aliens. I mean, I don't really need this, but it's just nostalgic. Paddington 1 and 2. These are just such good movies, such wholesome family movies. Yeah, I could just watch them all the time. Pan's Labyrinth. I finally watched this, and yeah, it's pretty good, pretty cool creature effects. The Peanuts movie. Yeah, we still haven't watched this yet, but it has a nice slipcover. Peter Pan from 1924. If you've never heard of this, it's probably the first furry movie because the dog at the beginning, the Nana character, he's just a guy in a dog suit because this was based on a play and that guy was just in a dog suit on stage. And it's also the first lesbian movie because Peter Pan is played by a girl. The Shop Around the Corner. This is just also one of the most underrated movies. Ernest Lubitsch is probably my favorite director, at least of the classic era. Shutter Island and The Aviator. Yeah, I've seen far too little Martin Scorsese movies. The only ones I've seen is Hugo, The Departed, and Goodfellas, and now I can watch more. Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. This is just one of the most visually unique movies ever made, and it's pretty good. Sleepy Hollow. This is a Tim Burton and Johnny Depp movie that I haven't seen before I watched it. Well, no shit. Sleepy Hollow, a Tim Burton, Johnny Depp movie, and while you're watching this, try to spot all the different actors that you recognized. I mean, there's the guy that played Dumbledore, the guy that played the Emperor, the guy that played Vernon Dursley, the girl that played Rita Skeeter, and also the principal from Ferris Bueller. Thomas and Friends Blue Mountain Mystery. Yeah, I want to collect more of the Thomas specials on Blu-ray, but I need them with a slipcover, and as far as I know, Blue Mountain Mystery never had a slipcover, so that's why I bought this. Pretty cheap. Titanic, another classic movie that I haven't seen, but I just have to get it. The Valley of Gwangi, another Ray Harryhausen movie that Aaron had to see. Wallace and Gromit, The Complete Collection. This is a really good Blu-ray. The Walk, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt doing his best Maurice Chevalier impression. Pourquoi? Why do you risk death? For me, I use the opposite word, life. I'm going to string a wire from the two towers of the World Trade Center and walk on it. I'm sorry. Walt Disney Short Films Collection. Yeah, I have all the Pixar short films collection, so now I found this for a decent price. Where the Wild Things Are, another movie that I've yet to see, but it has a cool slipcover. And finally, Zootopia. I mean, I could just watch this on Disney Plus if I wanted to, but it had a slipcover, and it's the original Blu-ray. And I also have Fritz Lang The Silent Films. This is just a really nice, big collection of all of Fritz Lang's silent movies. And all of them are, like, decent quality, except for one, Harakiri, which, for some reason, I guess they didn't even have an HD print, so they just took a low-quality VHS rip and just stuck it on a Blu-ray, because the image quality looks like it's on a VHS, and it's also shaking like it's being projected from an 80-year-old 8mm projector. And plus the movie's boring as crap, so it's basically unwatchable. But all the rest of the movies are pretty good. And now for more of the cartoon collections that Aaron bought. Classics from the Van Buren studio. More stop-motion Marvels. This is basically just a whole bunch of Alka-Seltzer commercials.
What you need is some Alka-Seltzer. You know what they always say.
Yeah, the mail must go through.
Oh, no. I mean about Alka-Seltzer. Relief is just a swallow away.
Well,
Rainbow Parade cartoons, and Technicolor Dreams and Black and White Nightmares with a Wizard of Oz cartoon. Now let's go on to the Studio Ghibli shelf. First up is an anime series called Future Boy Conan, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. This is his second series that he made after Lupin the Third Part 1. And I've seen Cowboy Bebop, but I actually like this more than Cowboy Bebop because this is basically all of Miyazaki's movies combined into one series. While I was watching it, I was noticing elements from all 11 of Miyazaki's movies. It's most similar to Castle in the Sky, which is, why I like it so much, but some of the locations are reminiscent of Nausicaa and Princess Mononoke. There's some magic elements like Kiki's Delivery Service in Howl's Moving Castle. There's like the kids interacting with each other and doing kid stuff from Totoro and Ponyo. There's flying sequences like Porco Rosso. There's kids being put to work like Spirited Away. And there's also a scene of the wind blowing off someone's hat from The Wind Rises. Also, the main bad guy, Lepka, he looks exactly like Count Cagliostro from Lupin the Third, Castle of Cagliostro. And Grave of the Fireflies is the only Ghibli movie that I haven't seen yet, and the only one that's not released by G-Kids for some reason, but I just can't wait to watch it. And now the Studio Ghibli movies that I got since last year are Only Yesterday, Ocean Waves, and Tales from Earthsea. I finally found these two for a decent price because they were released before they released all the other ones. I finally found them for a decent price with a slipcover. It took me a long time. These were the last two that I found. Yeah, and Tales from Earthsea, I watched it once and I was like, okay, the animation is nice, but just nothing else is good. Now let's go on to the Criterions. I've gotten a lot more Criterion since last time because in July 2021 they had a half-off sale, and I actually went to a physical store and bought a lot of them. So let's show you them. The Red Shoes. This is just such a glorious Technicolor. Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger are just really good directors. And the best compliment I can give it, it was shot in the 40s, but it looks like it was shot in the 70s. Another Powell and Pressburger movie, Black Narcissus. I haven't watched this yet, but I can't wait to. Hexen, a 1922 Swedish movie about the history of witchcraft. It's pretty cool and pretty spooky. The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, another Powell and Pressburger movie that I've yet to see, but it looks really good. According to pictures on Blu-ray.com, the Technicolor is just mwah. Heaven Can Wait, Ernest Lubitsch's first color movie, and it's also just really good and really nice to look at. Ernest Lubitsch, again, is just one of the best directors of all time. Harakiri. I bought this because it's the third highest rated movie on Letterboxd, and it's about samurais slicing open their intestines. Yeah, how can you not like it? And here's a bunch of Charlie Chaplin movies that Aaron bought. Modern Times, The Great Dictator, The Gold Rush, and City Lights. These movies, they're getting close to 90 years old, and they're still, really funny, almost funnier than most of the movies that come out now. The only other silent Charlie Chaplin movies that we don't have is The Kid and The Circus, and we'll get those eventually. Designed for Living, another Ernest Lubitsch movie. And these movies are just some of the funniest movies of the classic era that you'll ever see. What is your income in round figures? In round figures, 0. Safety Last, another really funny silent movie. It's just a classic, just an iconic scene of him hanging off the clock. To Be or Not to Be. This is probably Ernest Lubitsch's most famous movie. It's about Nazis and the Polish underground just trying to get out of Germany. It's also really funny, like this scene.
Gentlemen, the Führer wants to talk to both of you himself.
Yes, mein Führer. Jump. Herr Littler. Herr Littler.
Two very obliging fellows.
King of Jazz. This is probably one of the best of the early talkie musical reviews, and the Technicolor is just really nice to look at. It's only in 2-strip Technicolor, which means everything looks either light pink or red or just mint green. A Matter of Life and Death, another Powell and Pressburger movie. The 3-strip Technicolor is just scrumptious.
When you starved for Technicolor up there.
And now for the Digipaks, The Silence of the Lambs. I finally watched this, and it's one of my favorite Best Picture winners. It's just so seedy and creepy. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Out of the 1,100 and something movies on the Criterion Collection, there's only 3 animated movies, and this is one of them. And it's really good stop motion. And finally, The Elephant Man, a real picker-upper. I haven't watched this yet because I don't want to feel guilty that I'm a normal human being, but John Hurt's probably going to be good in it. Now let's talk about the 4Ks. I've gotten a lot more 4Ks because I finally have a 4K TV. Arrival on Steelbook, and like if I'm going to get a 4K, I either want it to have a slipcover or be the Steelbook version if I could find it for a decent price. And most of the ones that I want on 4K are some of my top 100 or just ones that look really good on 4K, such as Close Encounters of the Third Kind on a Steelbook. Yeah, this is just older movies that were shot in film always look good on 4K if it's a good transfer. T2. And Dune on 4K. This is another really good looking 4K. My favorite movie of last year, and it's just mind-blowing. Jaws, the 45th anniversary edition. The Lego Movie. Yeah, we've been trying to find this with a slipcover for a decent price for a long time, and we finally did. Luca. Now all the Pixar movies from Onward, I need to get on 4K with the slipcover. Monsters, Inc., the 4K Steelbook. Yeah, the thing about 4K Steelbooks, mostly the ones from Disney, the cheapest you'll ever find them is listing price when they're brand new at Best Buy. And that's where I got this. I didn't get it brand new, I only got it a couple months ago, but it was listing price for $35, which is like $30 cheaper than the cheapest one on eBay, so I got it from Best Buy. Mulan on 4K. Another one of my favorite movies that I had to get on 4K with a slipcover. Onward, it just pains me that this is the only Pixar movie that doesn't have a slipcover because, you know. Here's something cool. Akira Kurosawa's Ran, the Steelbook. This is the first Akira Kurosawa movie I've ever seen, and also the first movie that I've seen for the first time on a 4K disc, and also the first Steelbook to have a slipcover like that. This movie is just one of the most epic movies I've ever seen. And just imagine directing this movie. Rocky Mountain Express. Yeah, if you really want to see what your 4K can do, and you like trains, just buy this Blu-ray. It's just really nice to look at. Soul, another one of my favorite movies that I had to get on 4K because it's a Pixar movie. WALL-E, the regular 4K edition, because if you look it up, the Steelbook of WALL-E is actually like the most hard to find, the most expensive one, just out of all of them for some reason. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This was $10 at Black Friday, and that was a pretty good price, and the 4K transfer is just scrumdiddlyumptious. And finally, The Wizard of Oz. We've been trying to find this with a slipcover for the longest time. Aaron's been trying to find this with a slipcover for a decent price for a long time, but it never was a decent price, so we bought it for like $40. But it looks great on 4K. I mean, it's The Wizard of Oz, what more can I say? Now let's do an update of our DVDs. Turner Classic Movies Greatest Classic Films Collection Broadway Musicals with Showboat, Annie Get Your Gun, Kiss Me Kate, and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Yeah, I bought this because I looked on Amazon and all 4 of them are in the top 10 best MGM musicals that I have yet to see. And Turner Classic Legends Collection, Katharine Hepburn with Philadelphia Story, Stage Door, Little Women, and Morning Glory. And here's something cool, the Criterion Eclipse Lubitsch musicals. This is a really good box set of just 4 of Ernest Lubitsch's movies, The Love Parade, Monte Carlo, Smiling Lieutenant, and 1 Hour with You. I bought this because Shop Around the Corner is one of my favorite movies, and then when I watched The Love Parade, I was like, yeah, okay, I need to watch all of his movies. Up until this point, I've seen all of his sound movies except for That Uncertain Feeling and A Royal Scandal. Classic musicals from the Dream Factory Volume 2 with The Pirate, Words and Music, That's Dancing, That Midnight Kiss, The Toast of New Orleans, Royal Wedding, and The Belle of New York. I bought this because I wanted to see That's Dancing and also The Belle of New York, but when I put the disc for That's Dancing in, it froze 20 minutes in, so I got a refund from the eBay seller. And with that money, I bought an extra That's Dancing DVD, so now it works. Cabin in the Sky. Yeah, fun thing. I watched this movie on VHS just because I was like, hey, I'm never going to find the DVD. Literally the day later, I found it on DVD at Savers. Shoot the Piano Player. I've never heard of this movie, but I bought it because it was cheap, and it also had the booklet as well as this, which is a booklet of every one of the Criterion releases up until number 325. The Merry Widow, another really good Ernest Lubitsch movie. This is one of my favorites of his. And A Smilin' Through. I mean, I bought this because, like, the reviews on Letterboxd say it's pretty good, and yeah, it's okay, but, like, the quality of this DVD is, like, not really the best, because I guess they don't even have an HD version of it. And finally, Z on the Criterion collection. I bought this because if you look up here, it's still sealed, and It's also not available on Blu-ray yet. Yeah, and now for the TV collections. Gumby the 80s series Volume 2. So now we have all of the Gumby collections. That's Our Raven Supernaturally Stylish. This is the DVD that I had as a kid, so this is pretty nostalgic. And Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana. I mean, I don't really need this because I could just watch the episodes on Disney+, but, you know, it's kind of nostalgic. And here's an update of my VHS tapes. Yeah, we haven't gotten a lot since last year because, you know, we've been moving on to 4Ks. Ghost Story. This is Fred Astaire's last movie. It's basically an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but instead of a bunch of preteens telling ghost stories, it's a bunch of 80-year-old men. Lord of the Rings Return of the King, the extended edition, in widescreen on VHS. Yeah, I don't really need this. I mean, the only reason I bought this is because I kind of want to get most of my favorite films on VHS if they're available on VHS. If I want to watch the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, I could just watch them on HBO Max because the Blu-rays that I have are just the theatrical editions. Duel, Steven Spielberg's first movie. It's still sealed, but like my aunt just had it for a long time and she just decided to give it to me. Michael Jackson, Dangerous, the short films. This is a VHS with all of the short films from the Dangerous album, and all of them are bangers, and all the music videos are just really good. Now let's move on to the classics. The Invisible Man on the Universal Studios Monsters Classic Collection. Classic monster titles with a haunting new look at a price to die for. Love Affair. This movie was nominated for Best Picture in 1939, and it's one of those public domain movies that was released by like every different VHS company. And if I want to watch this in HD, I could just watch it on YouTube because it's public domain, so I don't really need this, but you know, I just had to get it. Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. As you've seen earlier in the video, I have this on DVD, so we don't really need this, but I kind of want to collect more of these MGM Musicals VHSs with this red banner. Such as the last one, Small Town Girl. Oh, and here's something special. Here is my CED and Laserdisc collection. My Laserdisc, Adam's Rib with Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, as well as In Which We Serve, a David Lean movie that got nominated for Best Picture in 1942. Both of these are from the Criterion collection, where in the 90s, before they released DVDs, they released them on Laserdiscs. And there's a whole bunch of movies that Criterion released on Laserdiscs that they haven't released on DVD. Even famous ones like Wizard of Oz and Halloween and Ghostbusters, ones that'll never get released on DVD on Criterion. Here's the CEDs, Easter Parade and Bells Are Ringing. If you don't know what CED is, I mean, I don't know either, but how this works, the disc is inside of this. It's about the same size as the Laserdisc. You put it into the CED player, and then right here are these little prongs that somewhere in this thing, you pull it out, and the disc stays in the player, and then it plays the disc. It's really weird. It was only available for a couple of years, even after the Laserdisc. Here's how it works. There's little prongs in there. So that's what's inside of a CED. And I'll just put it back in there so it doesn't get scratched. I mean, I'm never going to find a CED player, so these are basically just paperweights. So that was an update of all of our Blu-rays. Yeah, we certainly have a lot. We're almost running out of room on this shelf. Yeah, most of these movies I enjoy watching. There's not a lot of movies that I just actively just despise. If I look up the movie and I don't think I'm going to like it, I just don't watch it. But there are some movies that I have watched and I just can't stand. And what are those, you might ask? Well, stay tuned for the next video.